So, today I wanted to talk about stuff, all of the things that we all own that create this silent stress sometimes in our life. So, a little backstory about me is I grew up we had 5 kids in our family. My mom loved to shop. She had great taste. We always had a really cute decorated home. It was not unusual to come home one day and she's like rewallpapered or there's a different couch there. She loved decorating and experimenting with different colors and really fun patterns. So I grew up with knowing that. She was a shopper, so we had a lot of things, and that was just the way that it was. I never really questioned it. In my 20s, I carried that tradition on. In fact, when I lived in Texas at one point during my first marriage, we had my oldest was just 2, and we rented a 4-bedroom house so that I could have a gift room just to keep all of the things that I wanted to give people and that I had bought, and I wanted them perfectly stored with wrapping paper and packaging, and my heart was in the right place. I had really good intentions, but I have flashbacks to us going to Kohl's and back then the clearances were amazing where you could walk in and buy, pairs of socks at 90% off and jewelry and clothing. I remember one time going to, I think it was Sears, and we found these luxurious bathrobes and they were all 90% off and we got them for like $5 a piece. And so I bought like 10 so I could give every single person a bathrobe the next year. Things like that. Couldn't be further from my mentality now. So it's so interesting to think back that was so normalized to me. So through my life then, when I was just over 30, my mom passed away at the age of 57 of pancreatitis. It was unexpected, devastating. On top of grieving her, we had a giant house of things to go through. And my dad is the opposite, where he didn't care about any of it. He was like, I've lived with all this stuff. I loved her dearly. I don't need this stuff. And so he kept very little or wanted very little of it. And so me and my sister would go over there once a week for about a year and just go through things. We had about 3 garage sales. We donated a ton of her stuff to some really awesome women's organizations, some of her nicer clothes and things like that, to family, friends, just different people. And still I inherited like a moving truck full of things. At the time, we lived in a small 3-bedroom, 1-level home. There was no extra space for things. And so they sat in the garage or they slowly infiltrated in the house. And some of it was really great. We swapped out some of what we had for some better things. And some of it was simply just a weight. There was so much guilt tied up with all of the things that, in fact, I'll do a whole other video about that because it's a whole thing. But through that process, I have just gotten to a point in my life where between that experience and having both set of grandparents pass away and inheriting some things from them, I'm so sick of the stuff. There are so many times where I've wanted to go and explore and do things or move or things like that. And I've started looking at things almost like little anchors. And I appreciate things. I'm an artist. I have made and create thousands of heartfelt, meaningful things. I don't want to take anything away from things that actually have meaning. But all of our homes are full of so much stuff that has zero meaning. It is made by non-reputable companies just churning out like trash junk. And we all have it. There are closets in our homes, drawers full of things that we really don't need. And this has become even clearer to me because we're selling everything. Our goal by the time we leave is to have a checked bag each and then a couple, or not even a check bag, a carry-on each, and a couple check bags that we're going to keep here for when we finally do figure out where we want to be someday that we'll bring with us eventually. That's it. So what that means is as much as I had that viewpoint before, it's exponentially increased. I look at everything now as something I have to deal with energetically. Even the things I love or things I got free, which nothing is free, it's taking up space. You energetically have to deal with it. You either have to throw it away, find a new purpose for it, give it away, sell it, something. So doing that times the thousands and thousands of things in our homes is incredibly overwhelming. And I feel like in my life, it's a muscle that I've built up because I've had to go through so many people's things and help them go through and get rid of things and find the proper homes. I can't even fathom how overwhelming that would feel if I hadn't done that so many times. So just wanted to share a few pieces of insight that I have from doing that. And one is start with the things that are the easiest. Since we're not leaving for 7 more months, I've been doing this since August. I keep picking rooms, and it's almost like I can do a layer of things that I know we won't need until, we don't need before we go. That's the easy stuff. Package it up, price it, donate it, whatever has to happen with it. Then there's a layer that's more emotional. Books, decor, things I've inherited that I'm really having to get real, I can't take with me. So for some of those, I've taken photos of them so I can at least remember them. Because sometimes it's just when you see it invokes a memory, and that's special. For other things, now the layer deeper is my actual artwork I've created. All of the things from my business, not to mention like the things I've created for our own personal life here. Things my daughter or son has created. I have a bookshelf I built with my bare hands in high school that has followed me all over the country as I've moved. I have furniture I've inherited that I've had for decades. Those are the more difficult things. And so what I'm doing is I took pictures of each room so I could kind of see and always look back at how I had it. And then it requires a deep mental shift. And this is what's working for me. Take it or leave it. I'm 48. I think of 9 years from now is when my mom died. None of us take our stuff with us. In the end, it's all just stuff. And the people around us will either understand what it meant to us, or it'll simply be a piece of furniture they have no idea what to do with or what it means or its history. So you have the choice then to honor it now with you knowing. And for us moving, this is extreme, but maybe you're living in a house where you've lived there for 40 years and you are trying to figure out how can you ease the burden for your kids. This is also applicable. If there's things you no longer need, please, please, please start to do what you can emotionally and physically handle and start finding homes for those. Even something as simple as putting a Post-it note on the back of certain things that are important to you to explain what they were. In fact, from my grandparents, I found like a vase and it said, this is from Finland. Here is where we got this from. Or this was a piece of bark from the tree that Ellen grew up in Finland, or where her parents lived in Finland, something like that. So communicating, and then also just recognizing none of us take it with us. So I can either choose to keep hauling that with me or let it stop me from what my personal dreams are. Or I can choose to free myself of it, say thank you. It's been great. I really appreciate the role you've had in my life and made our life beautiful and brought feelings about by being in our home. Or simply the things that are just, they're not important and you just need to like free yourself. That empty space is okay. I think too many of us identify our self-worth almost like a layer of protection. Our stuff acts like that. And it really, I have found that the more I can free myself of that, the more I can actually stand on my own without needing that as an expression of myself or to prove that I've made it. I genuinely don't care at this point. I don't care. I'm so detached. I don't care about the car I drive. I don't care. Other than needing furniture in our home to sell it, I don't care what furniture's in our house. I don't care about the stuff. So I don't know. I guess I've just said thank you and chose to look at that I don't need it. Now, also that can bring other gifts where when we do end up somewhere someday, I will have like some blank walls that I'll need to get some new things, and that can be a fun adventure. But I look at it so differently nowadays that ultimately none of that, I'm like the temporary owner of these things. And so to buy as little as possible so fewer things end up in landfills is the key for me at this point. There are places you can find and look up if you need to give stuff away. There's Free Cycle or there's different, Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. You can ask for help from people if you are having trouble lifting things or moving things. And if you plan on staying in your home and you're like, I'm not going anywhere, I don't need to get rid of anything, that's awesome. But I'm guessing you still have closets full of, 10 extra sets of sheets, 50 towels going back to the 70s practically, that are still good for something. Cut them up and use them as rags or let them go. Find a shelter, an animal shelter that can use towels. And you'll feel really good about letting them be used rather than sitting in your home not being used. The extra decor, sometimes what happens is we have so much stuff that you don't even notice the things that we really love because it's hiding behind 10 other things that we don't care about. That we just started a collection, 20 years ago we mentioned that we like ducks or whatever it is, and suddenly we have 300 duck things. Just contemplate what that is for you. I'm not here to tell you what to do in your life. I just know for me, I've watched this happen over and over with the people I love. And I'm getting to have a different perspective on it now because when in life do people just sell all their stuff? It's so rare. And so it's been really helpful finding a different perspective on it. And I promise you, so much of it you'll be okay without. And you will feel so much lighter. It is just this invisible weight. I started over 15 years ago decluttering our things in the last house after my mom passed. And every round of it I would do, I just felt a light, like a weight lifted and a sense of coming out from under something. Even though I could have justified it all day long, I loved the things individually. Every one of them I could have justified keeping. But overall and collectively, it feels so good to have breathing room in your life and to not feel like every time you open a cabinet door, stuff is about to fall down on you. So that's what I'd encourage you to do. Just take and assess your life. What can you do today? Is there 10 things you can remove? Is there a room you can go through? Is there a box of someday I'll fit in these clothes that you can just release? And if guilt is an emotion that tends to come up for you, that's for me what it is find a good organization that can use them. Like I said, the vet or animal shelters love having towels. Women's organizations that are helping women go back to work would love good, nice shoes and dress clothes. My college recently had a bunch of stuff donated so that students could buy it at a discount and give those for Christmas presents, and all the money went to help a local organization. So there's so many good things that you can do with the things that will make you feel better than the guilt of having them sit there. So that's what I got for you today. I'm going to do another video tomorrow all about inheriting things, and then a third video about leaving things for others or how to handle that, just from my perspective as someone who has inherited more than any person should ever have to deal with, and the guilt and the mind games and the tears and all of the things that caused in my life that I just know we don't ever really intentionally want to do to the people we love. So hopefully you'll tune back in for that. I thank you so much for watching. Check out my other videos if this one resonated with you. I'm all about sharing dreams and then realistic plans, how to meet them. So I am a dreamer, but I like to get things done and I like an action plan. So boots on the ground sort of situation. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.